Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm Sherry Reichert Ballou, and I'm author of Say It Now. And I'm so excited today to be joined by Dawna Markova. Hey, Dawna.
Hi.
Hi
Aloha.
there. Dawna has been a teacher, psychotherapist, researcher, executive advisor, and organizational fairy godmother. She is also author of Living a Loved Life. And so today we're here to talk about this amazing book of yours, Dawna. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. My delight.
Yay! Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Perfect day to talk about love.
Aloha.
So here's where I want to start because I have had the complete joy of reading your book. And I want to start with the line from the introduction. And you say, the co-author of this book is a ghost.
Yes.
And I would love to hear you share with us some more about that.
Well, the co-author of this book is my grandmother, who is not a ghost. She's actually very alive inside of me. But I'm the only person left alive who has felt her hand on my forehead, who has felt her kiss on my fingertips. She was a midwife and she was a healer. She came to this country with her husband at the end of the 1800s during what was called the pogrom, where the Russian Cossacks went through the villages and they killed all the Jewish people they could find. And she was out in the potato fields digging, wearing a long brown dress, as people did back then. And she saw a man across the horizon running, 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 running. And she saw behind him horses, which she knew had to be the Cossacks. So she lifted up her brown dress and waved like this, and he came running, and she threw the dress over him, and the Cossacks went right on by because she was just a little woman. So she had two children with him, and then they decided they had better escape because things were getting worse, and so they came to the United States in steerage. She never stepped foot a single day in her life into a school. She could not read. She was illiterate, as was my father. My father was her youngest child. She had 9 more children in this country. So she had 11 altogether. But for whatever reason, she said that I was the one that she wanted to pass on her, I don't know how to say the word in English, but her wisdom, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
So every Friday, I would go to her apartment in Hell's Kitchen and I would make bread with her, and she would teach me. And she taught me not only how to make bread, but she taught me many, many, many wonderful things. And so I decided that I didn't, when I die, I'm 77, I wanted to pass her on. And I wanted to pass her on, particularly to my son, who is in his 50s now. But I wanted, more than that, to pass the legacy of her wisdom on. And I think one of the things that sadly is happening in our times is that values are rooted in wisdom that we pass on from generation to generation. And if that wisdom doesn't get passed on, we lose our values. And I think that's one of the things that's happening right now. So I told her, okay, Grandma, you dictate, I'll write what I remember, and this book will be dedicated to you. So the book itself is braided like the bread she used to teach me to make.
Yeah.
And one story, there's 3 sets of 3 stories, and 9 sets of 3 stories. And the first story is a story from her. The second story is a story about how I applied that wisdom to a challenge in my own life. And the third story is how I applied that wisdom to somebody I was working with.
Dawna, wow. That's why I wanted you to talk about that beginning part because it just is, it's right there. I feel if someone has only heard this part from you, there's so much in there, right? About how to be in life and how to live and how to love the people in our lives.
Yes.
I was struck by the fact that you guys used to meet on Fridays and that we're meeting on Friday.
It's perfect.
I love that.
It's
I love
perfect.
that.
It's
I
perfect.
love that.
She would greet me, unlike all my friends' grandparents greeted them by squeezing their cheeks. She would never do that, or hugging them till they couldn't breathe. She took my fingertips And she kissed each fingerprint like that. And she really looked at it. And she said, when you were born, life made a promise to the world. And when you were born, Sherry, life made a promise to the world. And then she'd look at the fingerprints and she'd say, never before and never again will there be another such as you. You're one of a kind. And she said, your task is to find what that promise is that life made. And only you can realize it because you're unique, you're one of a kind. And so I grew up with that. And when I began to work with people and found out that so many people didn't know that they mattered, I just wanted to kiss their fingerprints. I just wanted to pass on to them that story that she gave to me. Because, of course, we do matter, not as a fluffy, wuffy thing, but we are one of a kind. Even if we don't know what the promise is, it's like a riddle. You still need to pursue it.
Right. And I was thinking just now, just by you saying this, and I hope that a lot of people have the chance to listen to this, just by you saying that, that would open something up in each of us who hears it to ask that question of ourselves and to maybe live with that question.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Do you want to share your grandmother's name or do you prefer not to?
Well, the interesting thing is that nobody really knew her name. She was illiterate, and they called her Michael's wife, um, because women lost their names when they lost their agency, if you will. But I heard some people call her Dora, so I always called her Grandma. But I heard other people call her Dora. So to me, she's known as Grandma.
Grandma.
And the closest I can come to her name is Dora. But she liked being called Grandma. That was an identity she stepped into and she loved.
I just said sometimes it's so nice when I get to hear, I feel like she's here, right? To me, I feel like she's here in the room and we're really honoring her. And it's so nice to simply kind of know her name. But I'm going to call her Grandma too, if she wouldn't.
That's good. Please, she said,
Wouldn't
please. She convinced so many people have said, well, I never had a grandmother like yours. And I said, well, it's never too late, you know? The way she taught me about love was what was truly remarkable. And it seems not appropriate, not only because it's a Friday and I would have been with her and I was with her. I made her bread every Friday for 3 years when I was writing the book, as a way of bringing her alive again. And I talked to her all day long in my mind, and I'd braid the bread and let the yeast rise and all of that. But she couldn't have said this in English, but the way it translated is that love is not a thing. Love is a verb. Love is a practice. Love is something you give and something you receive. Love is a light. It's an intelligence that is a light, is what she would say. It translated very roughly, loosely, but that's the essence of what. So when she made her bread, she braided love into the bread literally, and she would braid together my father's gifts with my uncle's challenges. Like she'd say, let Billy's ability to make money help poor Sammy who's sleeping in his car. And so she would braid challenges and resources. And that was her prayers. And at dinner, when she saw everybody take the first bite of her gorgeous golden bread with butter melted into it, she would get this little grin, this little smile, you know? So to me, love was a very alive thing. And she said, and it is a verb. And she said, when you make something for someone you love, make sure you have love in your hands so that what you make is incorporated into the thing you're loving. And if your mind wanders and you stop loving in that moment, put it down and wait, or stop braiding and wait. And then think of somebody you love, and then love will be alive in your hands again. And then you can braid it or weave it or chop it or carve it or whatever you want to do, or say it. So that's what I grew up with, that concept, that understanding that love is not a thing you get. It's not even a thing you give, that it is a way that you relate to yourself, to other people, to the world.
That is just extraordinary. That is just, I mean, it couldn't be more perfect for today, right? On this day.
Yes.
And I'm curious, and you know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have an example in your own life of how you felt that, like love as a verb for you?
How
you've experienced love as a verb?
Well, I've been married and partnering Andy Briner, my husband, of we've been together for 42 years, or maybe 43 years. I don't do very well counting. And we've gone through every aspect of challenges to love that two people can go through. I can't think of many more. And so the interesting thing is, being 77, we have wonderful days together now, particularly. And we've had some challenging conversations on what I call naked Sundays. So we get naked, we get in bed, and we talk about things like, okay, well, if I, Dawna, die first, do you know what my passwords are?
Yeah.
If you, Andy, dies first, where's the key to the safe deposit box? I mean, difficult conversation. So on one of these naked Sundays, I said to Andy, you know, Andy said, I found all the love poems you've ever written to me. And I've written 18 books, but my love poems have never been published because they're everything else I have, I give to the world, but these were just for Andy. I said, well, I want you to burn them when I'm gone because I've given everything else publicly. These were just for you. And he said, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And I said, well, you need to do that or I'll do it. He said, how about, I got an idea. How about if we bring together the poems you gave me and the music that I composed, because Andy's a composer. And so we call them musings. And about every 3 months, we put out these musings on Vimeo, I think it is, or Spotify. And so they're available. There's no charge. We don't want to make money from them. But it is the love turned to ink, the poems and the music. And if he doesn't have loving in his hands when he's composing on the keyboard, he stops till he finds it again, and then he does it. So I'm not sure that's an exact answer to your question, but that's as close as I can come.
That is a beautiful answer. And maybe we could, maybe you'll come in and post the link below this video so that people could, because I know for me, I'm just like, oh, I want to experience that.
I will ask him, and if he agrees, then I will send it to you and you can post it.
I love that. And I would say, I mean, you can tell me, but your idea of naked Sundays, which I love, right? I love it.
Yeah.
That seems to me like love in action. Love is a verb.
Yes.
Right? That you guys are actively setting aside this time to be together in a really profound way. Yeah. And that's
it's what we call best friending. So during best friending time, you don't interrupt the other person no matter what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And you get a set amount of time, whatever it is and whatever we decide on, and you can say anything you want. And then at the end of that, the other one says how they were affected by what you said and what effect it had on them. And so it's a wonderful way to discuss really challenging things like, well, when I'm dead, are you going to sell the house? Well, what's going to happen to the dogs if you die first? Things, but also there's nothing during Naked Sunday that you can't talk about.
Right.
Because you can't be too busy because that day is sacrosanct. We don't see anybody else. We don't go anyplace. We get in the car sometimes and we do what in Hawaiian they call holo holo, which is you just go out and you get to the end of the road and then you decide in that moment whether you're going to turn right or left. Then you get to the next corner and the other person decides whether they're going to turn right or left. So we practice being lost for half the day. And the other half of the day, we're not naked, then we have clothes. The other half of the day, we are naked in bed, having challenging conversations and manifesting love any way we can do it. But that day is sacred to us.
That is so beautiful. How long have you been doing this?
43 years.
You've been doing the Naked Sundays?
Well, we haven't been doing holo holo because we just moved to Maui, I think, 12 years ago. But we've been doing best friends time every Sunday and a Naked Sunday to discuss challenging things.
Okay, this is what I love so much about being in conversation with people, right? Like, I loved your book. I love reading it. But it's like you really get to, I guess, just to hear you tell this story, right? I think it's just, and I hope that other people have the same impact of that, to really hear that this isn't just a book you wrote, right? And it sounds like you've written a lot of books, but this is truly a way of life for you.
Yeah.
And that obviously I can tell just in this short time, relationship is so central to your life. And
Relating is so central.
oh, tell me.
Because, okay, it's a great question. And I want to name first the gift that you bring is that you ask these juicy questions that have
Mhm.
real curiosity behind them. They're not just like, oh, where did you come from? I mean, there's juice, and you evoke out of me what's coming out of me. So that's to begin with. Relationship is the word. Once we make it a noun, the same way as we want to make love a noun, it becomes a thing. It becomes something you get, something you lose, something you want to have, something you want to hold on to. Whereas relating becomes a responsibility. It becomes something you do or you don't do. It becomes something you weave into your life. It becomes how you are relating in that moment to somebody, how you are teaching them to relate to you with respect and with care. So teaching is a really important part of that, and learning is a really important part of that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That is huge.
I
And I
came
really
to
hear you.
correct you, but it's a thing I have.
You know what? No, I feel, I mean, to me, this is what good conversation is really about,
Yeah.
right? When someone opens a door, like you have for me in so many ways already, someone opens a door and we get to see something. Oh, oh, yeah, that's there. I didn't even know that was there.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes.
I want to say something. I know we're almost out of time, and I know you have something more to share, but one thing I just want to say is that your book, and I want people to buy it because the stories, it's like a luxury, a treasure trove of beautifully written stories. And I wish we had more time so that we could read some of it. But please, I just want to say to people, to me, your writing is exquisite. Oh yes, please show us. Look at that. Such a beautiful cover too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's my hands. And
It is.
and my friend Joyce Chin did the photography.
Oh,
And
oh,
that's a peony, the flower on the cover.
Dawna, this has just been so wonderful. Way too fast. I know you have something really special to share before we go.
Yes. Well, what I want to share is a poem that was a gift that I wrote or came through me or whatever, depending on where you live, you say it in a different way. But that is my gift to my husband for tonight and for today. And it's called Loving is a Verb. You've heard that theme before, I think. I wish you could hear with his music behind, but it'll be on the Vimeo. Loving is a verb. Loving is a risk. Loving is a loss. Loving is a revolution. Loving makes clear every fear we must walk through. Loving brings with it every reason to make the effort. Loving initiates us and leaves us forever changed, forever marked, forever awakened to what could be. Loving must be cultivated, elevated, accentuated, and even more. Loving must be chosen because it will define our lives. Loving lives between every impulse and every action, and at the center of all that we do. Loving cracks the shields that loneliness builds and creates the space where possibility can flourish.
Dawna.
Valentine's Day.
I wish I could give you a big hug.
You are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What a gift. Not only, I mean, your time today, but you show up, right? You show up with such presence, and that you brought us that surprise, beautiful poem. Thank you.
Mahalo, we say in Hawaii. Mahalo.
Mahalo. And if your wonderful partner will let us post a link, you can come back to the Mango Facebook page and post it, and I'll be one to go there right away.
You got a deal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good Valentine's Day.
I make your thanks welcome in me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.